Hi, this is Dave with Media Digitronics. In this video, I'm going to walk through a quick example of how the user interface in ScrapPage makes it so easy to build ScrapPage pages. You start off any project in ScrapPage by either selecting a color background or a picture project. For instance, if you had background paper from a kit that you purchased, you'd be able to go in there, for instance, and take this paper, and you'd open it up, and there it is. Now that's the background on which you're going to lie all of your design elements to make your page. As an alternative, you could build your own page in ScrapPage. Let's stick with the square, and I'm going to go and let's go into this lighter tan color here, and I'll pick a texture. ScrapPage comes with numbers of textures, and you can make your own, or you can use the ones that come with it. Now I'm going to pick this ridged pastel paper right here, and you'll see when I do that, now the ScrapPage has built its own background paper for you to use. So once you've got this, what you can do then is you can start adding in certain design elements. For instance, let's add in a frame, and when the frame comes in, you can see how we can move it around. It comes in the upper left corner, and you just grab the mouse and drag it around. You can grow it in size or shrink it in size, whatever you prefer, just by grabbing these handles. There's one on each corner that allow you to grow and move the size of the object around. And also you see these little blue rotation handles in the corner. That lets you rotate the picture to wherever you'd like. So you can see it's really easy to manipulate the position, the location, that is, and the size and the rotation of any object in ScrapPage. Now this is a gray frame. Probably what I want to do is color that, so I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to pick that same color range, and we'll go just a little darker, and we'll tell it okay. So there, now we have this thing colored, and we can set it here in our layout anywhere we want. Now I think the next thing I'd probably do is bring in some design elements, and you can see here we have a number of flowers. Let's bring these flowers in individually, and I'll bring in the ribbon as well. Now, when these things come in, they all come in the upper left corner, about a quarter size of the page or so. But you can shrink them down in size. You just select them, bring them down to something that's a little more manageable to what you might want to do with the design element in this particular layout. So we'll just grab all these and sort of move them down and resize them as would be appropriate. All right, so that's fine, and maybe what I'll do is I'll move the ribbon down here just to get it out of the way for the time being. As you can see, objects move around very simply in ScrapPage. Now, over here, when each one of these came in, you can see in this layers panel on the left or on the right-hand side over here that each one of these things has a layer of its very own, and that's the order in which they came in. Now, all I have to do to change that, for instance, right now the square, or the square, I should say the frame, is you can see it's behind everything. Now, we don't necessarily want that to be the case. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change it. And it gives you the option of jumping it all the way to the top, or moving it up one, or down all the way to the bottom. So I'm going to jump this all the way to the top, and now you can see that the frame lies on top of everything. All the other design elements are below the frame right now. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to move maybe this rose cluster here, and I'll leave those two things like that. Now the other stuff I'd like to start putting on top of the frame. So let's pick this guy here, and to put it on top of the frame, as I said, all we have to do is move it to the top, and now it becomes an element that's on top of the frame. We'll move this one in here. It can stay there for time being, I think. Maybe next I'll move this guy in there, something like this, and this one here. Okay. Now the frame lies on top of those, but actually lies on top of these, but since it's not overlying the element, you can't tell that. If I was to move the frame, you could see that it would, but it doesn't matter, because we can always rearrange the layers over here into any order that you want. So let's leave it about like that. And the ribbon, I think I'm going to take the ribbon all the way to the top, and we'll set the ribbon over here and maybe give it some kind of an orientation about like this. And let's just say that's a good layout for us. Now what we might want to do to give some dimension to all this is we'll pick this one here, and I'm going to give it a shadow. Shadows, of course, as you know, make things pop off of the page a little bit, so we'll give it a fairly good shadow, something in this order here. Now that we've got it shadowed, I might even soften that a little bit. Let's take it up to about a 6. All right, so now that we've got that shadowed, that's this image right here. All we have to do to give that same shadow to everything else is go up the line and select, and go up here to our Match to Previous button. And when I do that, I'm just going to add whatever shadow I had on the previous layer to this newly selected layer. So we'll do that. So now they're all shadowed. Now the ribbon, I might want to make it seem to stand off even more, so I'm going to give it a really broad shadow, something like this. All right, so it stands off a real lot. And I didn't shadow the frame yet. We'll make the frame be a little more defined in its shadow, something about like that. Okay, so there's our basic layout. Now to this, I want to add, of course, a picture to put behind the frame. And I'll go to do that. I'll go in here and I will go to my pictures, and let's pick this lovely lady here. We'll bring her in. Now she's going to come in on the top of the stack, of course, so that's not where we want her. We want her to be behind the frame. So to do that, I'm just going to select the frame, and then I'm going to go back and select her. And up here in my Tools menu on reordering, I can tell the picture or the layer that I've selected, I want it to be behind the previous object. The previous object I selected was the frame, so if I do that, now you'll see that she falls behind the frame. Now the other thing I can do is I can tell it, hey, I also want to rotate her to the previous object to give her the same rotation, and she does. And let's say we blow her up to something like that. Now you can see she's bleeding out past the frame, which is no problem, because while she's selected, if I just right click, that brings up a crop rectangle that lets me go in here and crop the picture down so that it fits nicely behind the frame. So there. Now that we've got all this done, what we might also want to do is, well, let's add a text box, and we can go in here and say, how about picture perfect? And I'll stick with, let's use Scriptina. That's always a nice font. And we'll just tell it that, hey, I want to use my Scriptina font. Let's bold it up a little bit and give it a color that's, I'll say, complementary to the brown that we picked before. We put this down here. We can size it anywhere we'd want it to be. Really rotate it, something like this. That might be a little bit strong on rotation. Let's move it about like that. And tell it okay. All right, so there. Now we've got a nice little layout. Now there's another thing that we can do, and it's sort of interesting, that you can always add another panel in ScrapPage, and these panels sort of act like their own separate little piece of paper. Now I'm going to go in here with this guy, and I'm going to give it a coloration that's just a little bit lighter than the one we had before. And I'm going to go pick a texture that's complementary to what we have also. I'm going to pick pastel plain in this case. And so when it comes up, it's going to come in just a little lighter than what we had before. We don't really want it to be on the top, because right now it lies on top of everything else. So we'll move it all the way to the bottom so we know that it's down there now. Now one other thing that's very interesting you can do with ScrapPage is you can mask things very easily. So we'll go in here, and I'm going to tell it, while it's selected, I'm going to go tell it that I want to do a cutout mask on this. All right, so now it comes with options to do either ovals or squares, or also you can use the built-in masks that come with ScrapPage. And an interesting mask right here is this guy. We'll blow it up to fill the whole thing, and I'm going to apply it. Now what this mask is doing is making it look like it's a piece of paper that's torn out from a ring binder. And if I give it a shadow, in order just to give it about a 2, and a fairly strong shadow, now you'll see that now it looks like a piece of paper that we tore out of a binder. And just like anything else with ScrapPage, I can rotate it around, I can size it so that it sits about like so. And just like that now, in very short order, we put together a very interesting page very quickly using ScrapPage. So until the next time, this is Dave from Media Digitronics. Bye-bye.